this week for Be Good People show. I'm Luke Ramey, and this week we are going to be talking about Apple Computer, and we're going to be talking about Liberty University, Jerry Falwell Jr. That's the stuff we're getting into this week, but I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for coming back here week after week. This is episode 29 for us, and although we are still distant and doing audio only, pretty soon we'll be back sitting at this table talking about kind of what's going on politically. So we see that happening in the coming weeks. So stick with us on that. And hopefully we'll be back to a full video episode very, very soon. But thanks for checking us out. The audio version is following this video right here. So that's good to go. Or you can go over to Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Spotify, anywhere you get podcasts. You can head over to begoodpeople.podbean.com. If you head over there, you can actually do an RSS subscription to whatever podcast player you use on your phone, and then it will always show up there and update. So anyway, wherever you check it out, thank you for jumping in and listening and getting in the conversation. We'd love for you to be a part of this conversation with us. So thanks again. Hey, everyone. This is Luke Ramey.
Curtis.
And Curtis Looper. Say your last name, man. If people are just listening to it, they don't have the little name.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
They got to know you're Curtis Looper.
Curtis Looper. The same Curtis that's been here.
Every week for
a while.
9 or 30 weeks, whatever we're on now. We're back, and we don't have a book that's leading this discussion. It's just Curtis and I checking in and talking about what's going on. So we're going to talk about maybe some things we've seen in the news, or maybe some things that we've seen around Cookeville where we live and in our society or whatever. We'll just kind of, we don't have an outline. So we're just jumping in. And one of the things I want to talk about, Curtis, right away, if you'll let me.
Yeah.
Apple Computer Company, Apple Computer Institute, whatever they're called.
You're a big fan.
Yeah, I am a big fan. I use all Apple devices. I use Mac, laptop. I use Apple iPhone. Big fan. So if you have an iPhone, you know that to put an app on your phone, you have to go to the App Store and then you download it that way. You can't just go to a website and download an app and load it into your phone.
Yeah.
And that's true of most phones, even like Android phones. You have to go to like the Google Play Store, or like I had a Samsung phone for a while, and I could go to the Galaxy Store.
Yeah.
Or the Google Play Store. Like I had two.
I think
options.
Amazon had an app store too.
Yeah.
But that's a big thing with Android users is that, Apple's app store is way more heavily regulated, and you have to go through a bunch of hoops to get, your app published there.
Yeah, it's harder. And so they've had this brush up with Fortnite recently, Epic Games. Basically, Epic wanted to load, their ultimate goal is they want to have a store on an Apple device that Apple gets no cut of the proceeds from, that they can sell all of their individual games to that user. That's the end goal. They've even said that. They've said that to them. That's what we want.
Yeah.
But what they did was they rolled out an option to buy in-game stuff like skins and, different
microtransactions.
Yeah, these microtransactions, in-app purchases.
Mm-hmm.
They rolled out a way to do that without using Apple's API payment plugin.
Yeah.
Total violation of the Apple terms and conditions.
Sneaky.
Total violation.
Sneaky.
Yeah. And so Apple obviously caught it, but you can roll out updates to your app. Once you've gotten your app approved, you can roll out updates, and the update can roll out before it's actually reviewed, and then they just flag things, and so it rolled out. They flagged things, honestly, and then prevented future downloads of it. But one of the things Apple did do, I'll just say this, and then we can discuss why and if that's okay. But one of the things that Apple did do is they froze it. So if you had downloaded Fortnite to your phone, you still right now can do that on your phone. Yeah. They didn't brick the device. They didn't brick it because they said we delivered it. Yeah. And so we're going to honor that. Whoever we delivered it to, we're just not going to deliver it anymore.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a profound, they didn't knee jerk and shut it down, which they could have, and shut it down on people's phones. They left it the way it was. They said, we missed this and it delivered this way. If you have it and you don't update again, this is what you'll have, But if you do run an update, you're actually reverting to the old one, and you'll lose it. But there was all these iPhones being sold on eBay
that had Fortnite on them, and they were selling them for like $10,000 and $12,000. I mean, just insane. Why you would do that? You'd have to be an idiot. No offense if you're listening and you did that, but that's not smart. Okay, but no. So this is something that I was always frustrated
Yeah.
with Audible.
Yeah.
Do you remember Audible back in the day where you had to go to their website on your computer?
Yes, it was
and
very frustrating.
and buy your credits because you could not buy through the app. And the reason you couldn't buy through the app was because they didn't want to comply with Apple's.
Oh, is that why? Okay,
yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
So they just told you had to go somewhere else. So
well, it was not even that. Like if you were on the membership, like and you had the credit system, you had to go buy it on the website, just your credit. Like you couldn't even bypass it with their own fake money, with their Dwight Schrute bucks, know?
You couldn't do it. And it was so frustrating. Like always, and you could do it from your phone, like go on the web browser on your phone and do it, but it was just so frustrating all the time to do it. And I hated that. And then all of a sudden it was corrected and they did it. Well, basically what ended up happening was Audible got muscled in, which is owned by Amazon. They got muscled into this using their payment agreement because Apple then rolled out, you can't in-app tell people to go somewhere else to purchase. And Audible did that plainly. They're like, you can't buy here. You can go here and do it.
Right.
Apple rolled out new terms and conditions saying you're not allowed to do that. And so Audible finally just had to say, all right, you're getting paid 30% of our sale now.
Yeah.
And so they got muscled into it. But my user experience went up because now I can just get an Audible book in my app, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
So what do you think? Should Apple be allowed to charge this, what some people are calling a 30% tax to Apple for their app to be used on their phones? Your thoughts?
I mean, I'm anti-monopolies from the get-go. So if it even starts to smell a little bit like a monopoly, very much against it. And Apple definitely has a monopoly on it's got a very large share on the smartphone.
Oh yeah.
Even on personal computers, they weren't that big back, early 2000s. I guess they started getting a little bit more popular.
But they're still, what are they, like 6 or 7%? I mean, we could look that up, I guess, but
but what's factored into that? Because if it's PCs and they're counting in all these businesses that use hundreds and hundreds of
and
Windows,
I'm sure.
then I think that number's a little skewed.
Yeah.
But in the entertainment and design community, I don't know that I see many. It's almost weird to have a Windows, everyone's got a Mac.
Very much.
That's what everyone's editing their videos on.
In the second quarter of 2020, Apple shipped 13% of all PC units in the United States. So that's quite a bit, an increase from 12.3. But that's quite a bit over the last 10 years for sure.
I think I would couple that if I were trying to make, a good estimation on what they have in the consumer market rather than the business market.
Yeah.
Couple that with how many of those were being sent to corporations and how many were being bought, through their website to go to some person's house. I don't even know if you could get the numbers of that, but
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think it seems like, a toll tax or something. I don't know that I like that.
And so there's a YouTuber out there named Linus Tech, I think is what he's called. And they're developing an app that's similar to YouTube. Honestly, they want to put out video content, have people interact with it. I forget what it's called now. I forget the name of it now. But Linus Tech is his YouTube name, and you can find it all there. So they have been trying to get their app in the Apple Store, and Apple keeps rejecting it for different reasons, saying no, we don't want users to be able to comment on the videos that you post in it. We don't even want them to be able to comment. We don't like that. We don't like user-generated content.
Yeah.
Because it can't be controlled. But you can comment on YouTube. You can comment on Facebook. You can comment on Twitter. You can comment on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you can. Discord is an app on my phone.
Yeah.
I have all kinds of interactions. Right.
Yeah.
So why are they being ruled as you can't do it? That's the controversy is Apple is picking and choosing. They won't pick on Facebook.
Oh
They won't
yeah.
pick on Twitter.
No, that's
They
exactly like, so I don't know. You can look at like the letter of the law or the heart of why a monopoly is bad is when they have that power to exert over little guys.
Yep.
Like Amazon, you would almost say is monopoly now because they can offer, through Amazon Marketplace, they can offer anything that they see as competition.
Yep.
Change a few things here or there to get around copyrights.
Yep.
Like with, especially with like textiles and stuff. Sell a shirt that is being sold by a smaller designer, independent designer, sell it, 50% less, make up that money in a different sector. And then when they starve those out, then just jack up the prices. I mean, that's pretty elementary understanding of it, but like, that's the heart of it is that's bad. When you hear a lot of like, the free market, that is the unchecked free market. Like that's why free markets don't necessarily exist anywhere. There has to be regulations in some places, or, you just get the snowball effect to these guys who accumulate a lot and get lucky, strike lucky in one section, and they can use that power to, corner every market they want to, that they have the time to corner.
But this is what I want to bring up. This is the argument I think, and honestly, I believe this way. I understand everything you're saying, and I think monopolies can be dangerous. It's the reason why utility service, gas, electric, water, they are run the way they are now in the United States.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We made a decision. No, these you cannot.
You don't get to mess with
monopolize.
These.
You don't get to monopolize these.
Yeah.
So I understand that there are certain specters, and maybe we're getting close to that in the digital age.
I think internet is headed that way.
But the thing is, could Apple's marketplace get there before the internet? That's ridiculous for me.
I don't,
you know what I mean?
Well, it's like e-commerce. I mean, we're coming into the age where, the internet's only been used on the scale it is now for what, like 15 years, something like that.
Yeah.
The first smartphone was like 12 years ago.
Yeah. But okay, Epic Games. Epic Games is, let me find the wiki of it so I can get its start date. Epic Games started, they started as Potomac Computer Systems in 1991. Okay.
Yeah.
That's who they started as. And then they've had a lot of things that changed, some games through the 90s, and then eventually they became Epic Games. Now, Epic things, it started in the 90s, so it's got a history, right?
Yeah, they've got a big history.
But this is the thing. Apple existed late 70s, all right, is when Apple really made some waves, started releasing stuff. Mac comes out 1984, I guess.
It's a personal computer.
Yes.
Wasn't that their big thing?
Yeah. Hello, or it said hello is what Mac to say hello. So anyway, so they did all this, but the thing is, everything Apple did in the late 70s through the 80s in personal computing, and set them up to be a place where they have the market share they have. Like, you know what I mean? They are not without their history, is what I'm saying. Like, if they are here now and they own a platform of the App Store that they make an incredible amount of money on, they have done the research and development since the late 70s to get to where they are. Right. Is it fair of us to say, well, now that you've gotten to where you are, we're going to dismantle it? You know what I mean? Like, is that
I think
fair?
so. Yeah.
You think on a publicly traded company?
You break it up a little bit and, have different things be held by different companies. The centralized power, like that's the idea, is like, if too much power is the hands of so few people that are unchecked by the American voters.
But the thing is, this is how you check it. Epic Games can release their own phone.
Yeah.
Knock it out of the park, man. Go ahead and do it. They have the freedom to do it. They can have people overseas clone an iPhone, and they can release it as close as they can.
Yeah, but are we trusting our like democracies and the recognition of God-given rights to people with how well a company, some upstart company, can do in a marketplace? Like, I feel like that kind of cheapens the rights that the Constitution recognizes.
1991. They started in 1991. They're not an upstart. Yeah. They've got 29 years of history. They could have in the 90s jumped up on putting music in people's pockets if they wanted to, but they missed it. You know what I mean? And the fact that they missed it, now they look back and they're like, hey, now we have to pay a 30% tax to someone who didn't miss it. Well, you missed it.
Okay, I understand that, but we're also negating, like, how many small companies has Apple choked to death and bought up during that time?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, actually, it just rolls over, and it's a snowball that turns into an avalanche.
I was having this discussion with somebody else, and I actually said, I was like, hey, if Epic Games wants to release a phone, why don't they just give Nokia a call and launch one? You know what I mean?
But hey, I heard BlackBerry is and
then I realized I think Apple bought Nokia. I'm not exactly sure about that.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, oh my gosh, I think they actually might have really exercised the power on that.
No, it's still independent. But yeah, I mean, like, Apple does that a lot. And that's cell phone carriers do that a lot. I mean, there was 95, 96, maybe not that early. I don't know. Maybe it was more like 98 or 99. But, like, there were, like, Cellular One was here in Cookeville. A bunch of, like, independent used cell phone towers or bought rights to them. And then Verizon just comes and buys them all up. And all of a sudden we've got three major carriers now. I mean, Sprint and Virgin Sprint and T-Mobile just did their merger. So now we've got...
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you got those three, and I guess US Cellular is a little bit popular around here, but like...
In some areas. And then Spectrum's in the market, but they're just using Verizon's network.
Yeah.
They're just a rebrand.
Well, you've got a lot of those now.
But is that how Verizon's trying to not be a monopoly? Is because right now Spectrum's selling it, but it's just running. It's just a Verizon phone.
So they got a monopoly on the towers
a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Spectrum runs the internet to those towers, though. So I think that might be
like a handshake.
Yeah.
Well, and this is I don't know. I just, when I look at Apple, I'm an Apple fan. You know that. And so I'm going to defend them even when I shouldn't, probably. Okay.
I think that's what this is. Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm going to defend them. But surely Google search is a platform before the Apple App Store is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. And I think Google dodges it because they sell ads.
Now, Google's definitely a monopoly. They're them, and I think Facebook now too are both,
But we don't have to be on Facebook. We can jump on
MySpace is still active.
MySpace. You can jump on MySpace if you're on social media, not with Facebook.
What was pre-MySpace?
It was it started with an X, didn't it?
I don't remember.
It was that blog site.
Yeah, I wasn't on it.
Xanga.
Xanga.
Xanga. I bet it's still up too. Let's see if
I bet. I've seen guys like, I just found my old Xanga account and I'm really ashamed.
Xanga 2.0 is here. This is awesome. What we've been learning about. Oh gosh, yeah,
we're gonna have
doing things.
We're gonna have to put some of this on the screen.
We are abandoning our Discord and we're going to Xanga. See you guys there.
Catch us out on Xanga/Be Good People Show.
No, but so the Apple monopoly, you would say you're anti-monopoly then, not the game, the monopolies in our.
I'm anti-game just because I win every time I play, so it's just boring.
You've monopolized Monopoly.
I mean, I play the game as everyone plays it. You get to the slums. You buy up all the property, you gouge the poor, and then you use that to legitimize yourself.
It's an odds game. Yeah.
It's all you got to do. It's like, you don't want that. Like, give me.
Yeah.
I'll take Baltic Avenue. Absolutely. Is that?
I'll absolutely trade you Boardwalk for those 3 gray ones. Trust me, Boardwalk's way better than those gray ones.
Yeah, you got Boardwalk, man. You know how?
I mean,
everyone wants to be at Boardwalk.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
I'm with you. But
yeah. I mean, just anytime power needs to be spread out. Otherwise, you have corruption.
So I am
to the highest extent.
Absolutely. So I would say that I'm in Apple's corner because I'm such a big fan. Because I've used Apple products so long. I want them to win. but they're winning like crazy. They're like a $1.3 trillion company or it's something insane.
$2 trillion. They just became the first $2 trillion company.
They just did a 4-to-1 stock split because
like,
their stock price gets high.
I got that. Like my AP News just popped on my phone. Hey, Apple just became a $2 trillion company. I'm like, oh, okay. That's great. Awesome. You know, because
interestingly,
a company needs to be that big.
They're a cash company. So they don't do debt to build.
You know who else was anti-monopolies?
Who's that?
A guy named God.
Okay.
Do you remember the Tower of Babel? he broke that stuff up.
Oh gosh, yes, no, but I'll defend Apple just because I love them. But I'm scared of Google. I'm scared of
break them up too. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm scared of that stuff, and maybe they can. You know, and it's funny because they've been doing the opposite of breaking up. They've been acquiring.
No, yeah, they've just been
like
because like Google,
they just swallowed up YouTube. They swallowed up.
Like the biggest search engine by like a large margin is Google. Yep. The second biggest search engine is YouTube, which is owned by Google. It's like. What do you do? Yeah. And then you've got Microsoft. What is Microsoft?
And then Google Maps is probably number 3.
Probably, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just,
Bing's over there like, hey, you remember?
Hey, we're still here. Bing, we're still here. Bing,
do
you hear me?
Whenever you download or whenever you get a new Windows computer, it's got Microsoft. I guess it's Edge now. Or whatever, Explorer is gone. And so first thing I do is I Bing Google's website, and at the very top, Bing says, Bing's just as good as Google. Oh, shut up. Just shut up.
Go away. How do I change my default on this?
That's exactly it.
Download the Chrome browser.
But I mean, like it works. They built something that worked.
They did. Yep. But maybe it's getting to that point. Now it's something that's, I'm willing to continue to have that discussion, but I am.
Well, like places like Facebook and, Google controls what is at the, if they don't want something at the top of their search engine, they have the power to,
is it
move that
size and control? So
it's definitely size and control.
The App Store on a mobile device. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
On the App Store on an iPhone. Okay, there's other phones out there you can choose from, but people don't choose them because they're not as good.
You can jailbreak your iPhone too.
Yeah,
I think at one point it might have been illegal, or maybe that was like some conspiracy that Apple put into the ether a little bit.
I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to use their boot code to launch any other OS. I think that's how the laws work.
But you could like jailbreak it and go to like some other app store too, but you like void. I think all it does now is just void your warranty. I could be wrong. I don't do it, so I don't know.
But this is the thing. So the App Store, so there's multiple phones out there right now. There's Android devices, there's Microsoft Windows, maybe not any more Windows devices.
I think it's pretty, I think they might have shuttered that.
But then you got Apple iOS. So you have multiple locations with different stores, but just Apple's are the biggest. So what I'm wondering is it like a mall in my community?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I grew up in Minneapolis. We had the Mall of America in Bloomington, but we had other malls around too, right?
Yeah.
But the Mall of America was the great mall. But the mall there got to decide what was sold. They got to set rents where they wanted. If you were a new startup shop, you weren't going to get in the mall. They weren't sure that you were going to make it, so they didn't want you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they put pressure on you. But if you're Bloomingdale's, we can give you a corner spot. What I'm saying is the App Store not the mall? Are they not allowed to discriminate and say, no, I mean, if you're legitimate, you know what I mean? Like if you make legitimate games, I'll bring you in, or productivity. Yeah. I mean, we'll work with Microsoft and their stuff.
The big issue I have with that, the mall is paying, the taxes to that community, or I don't know how it works now. Some of those might have something worked out. Apple, for the most part, most of these guys have legal loopholes where they're not paying they're not paying taxes. Maybe even federally. I mean, I know that their employees, they have to pay like payroll taxes, but like, a lot of these companies, Netflix, guys like that, they pay almost nothing in taxes.
Yep.
And they get to enjoy, the biggest consumer market in the world. So for them to just, I mean, it's like dine and dash a little bit, like you gotta hold these guys to account with some of this. I was looking at this Forbes article
Yeah.
Year to date, as of August, their stocks, iPhone makers' shares have risen 57% year to date.
Yeah.
I wonder if that.
Do you know what Tesla's share increase is year to date?
Bet it's
987%.
Yeah. Some of these numbers, though, I wonder how they're pulling it because, like, at the start when COVID tanked the markets, are they counting it at that point? Like, are they counting it right before and then the gains that they make?
They're counting January. They're counting January 2020 for that Tesla.
Okay.
No. They're counting year to date for the Tesla number right now. So it's year to date. But this is the interesting thing about Tesla. I own some Tesla stock. And so I
think you've said that the last 3 episodes.
I like to throw it out there. But I sold it all this week. I sold it off at a high, and then it started dropping because it's a fake bubble. And this is
some of that popped. I think dropped like 1,000 points yesterday. I think I read at the end of the day market watch. So
this is the interesting thing. So they evaluate like businesses, like the value of a business is the value of their shares. So what it's trading at per share, what a share is worth, right? Times however many shares they have. Mm-hmm. That's the value. So when you get the Apple $2 trillion, that's not Apple having $2 trillion in the bank. It's saying their business is worth this much because that's how many shares are out there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, but what you do is how much money are they making versus what their shares worth? Like how much are their shares worth? And you have a valuation of like a 1 to whatever. Well, Apple is like a 1 to 120. Yeah. So that's like that's a huge gap between what people are thinking they're worth by buying shares and how much money they actually make is like a 1 to 120, which is crazy. Okay. That's a out there number. Yeah. So Tesla right now is a 1 to 1,200. It gets a times 10 obscene. It's not worth, anywhere near what it's trading at. Like really, like cash money, it's not actually making that money. Anyway,
that's interesting.
I got on a tangent with stock prices, but yeah, Apple. I'd like us to talk more about this in coming days. But I defend them because I love them. Somebody that is also near and dear to my heart because I graduated. From Liberty University.
I was about to say we're talking about God and corruption. Let's talk about Jerry Falwell Jr.
Jerry Falwell Jr.
Did that just blow up in his face?
Right.
How many years have I been dogging you about him though, too? Because I don't want to
a defender of him. I've never defended him. I am glad that I went to Liberty. I liked my education I got there. I don't know that I've ever lined up with all of what they are.
Well, I mean, when did you go? You went in 2011, 12?
Yeah, 11, 12, and 13. I graduated. Okay. 13.
So he had just taken over said he took over as president in 2007.
Yeah.
I mean,
but he's built them. He has been all the credit for what has happened there. A lot of it has been what he's put emphasis on. I mean, their online school is 140,000 students right now.
It's crazy.
It's an insane number, and their on campus is gigantic too. But interestingly enough, they're nonprofit.
They're nonprofit. They're tax exempt, and yet he was the guy who pushed the evangelicals over to Trump. So I mean, as soon as I hate to. I don't hate to say it. Like I've been telling people all the time, like, hey, no one is going to take the evangelical seriously until you get rid of guys like Falwell and guys like, where do you start? Who's the guy who sells the slop and buckets? What's his name?
Oh, gosh, I don't even know.
Jim Baker.
Yeah, well, Jim Baker. He's the one that went to jail. Yeah.
No, it's the same guy. Yeah, exactly.
So I went to, maybe it's me. Yeah. So the first college I went to, North Central University, which is downtown Minneapolis. I go there. There's a wing that was donated by Jim and his wife at the time. I don't know if they're still married. Baker. Jim and Tammy Faye. Mm-hmm. Jim and Tammy Faye Baker. Their whole worship center was donated. By them, paid for it.
Well, that's how these guys do what they do. That's why you have so many people. They make a bunch of money off gullible people who are desperate for stuff, and then they donate to the right people who give them legitimacy. And then it's like, okay, cool. Well, you can't, that was a lot of, you heard from someone like Trump, who was obviously, a bigot. You can see it from, if you look at the things he says and the way that he's conducted business in New York, in the Black community and like in the Hispanic community in the like 70s and 80s. Like, he's a racist person. Yeah. And then you have guys who should be looking out the least among us saying, no, he's a godly man. And then you've got, gullible white people saying, how could he be so, how could he have such a big empire if he wasn't a godly man, if he wasn't praying? It's like, okay, that goes against everything in the Bible. There were plenty powerful people in the Bible that made their riches outside of following God. That's just a weird argument. But like, we've attached wealth and prosperity to godliness, and so guys like Jerry get a pass when shady stuff has been happening with him for years now. I remember there was a big rumor, and I didn't believe it then. I just knew that, like, okay, there's something around here. There's smoke here. When he had given like some big part of the business over to like his personal trainer or something. Isn't that the guy
the pool boy?
The pool boy. That's the guy who ended up like ended up
Carlo or something.
Yeah, with the. I don't know. There's this really good Reuters article on it, and
that came out about, what was that? Was that a year and a half ago, maybe?
I don't know if that was the Reuters one. That one that I was talking about, it came out a year and a half ago, and everyone was, there's rumors all over. I didn't really buy into that, but I knew that it didn't surprise me.
I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was you. Somebody brought that to me. Like, oh, he's hanging out in Miami nightclubs with this Giancarlo pool boy guy.
Yeah, I think I sent it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my response was, yeah, probably.
Probably.
I don't doubt it. You know what I mean? Like, in my experience, which is limited. I admit it's limited. That's not surprising.
Well, you see this corruption when you see corruption like this, you got to call it out, and you got to be bigger in it. Otherwise, your whole movement is a sham. When you and you see this with any of these guys, he's got both his sons, his wife on the payroll of his institution. So they're just like milking money out of the system where they're constantly telling people, hey, you got to donate here because the world's coming against us, and we've got to come together and give us all your money.
2017, they had about, I just found this data. 2017, they had about 100,000 students online, right? Mm-hmm. So let's go 100,000. Let's say that, because not all of those are full-time, right? But let's give them half are full-time students. All right. I was a full-time student when I was going. So I'm going to go times 0.5. That's going to give us 50,000, right?
Yeah.
Times it was about when I was going back in 2013, it cost me about $12,000 a year to do my online school there. That is $600 million.
Yeah.
1 year.
Yeah.
They are nonprofit and tax exempt.
Yeah, exactly.
$600 million.
No, that's what I'm saying,
more than half
man.
$1 billion. I mean, that's.
You gotta tax these guys. I
want to know what's the value. What's the value of Liberty University compared to Apple?
It's pretty hot. Did you see where they've brought in like a I don't know what they call it. It's almost like an autopsy of investigators who are going to come in and look at all his dealings.
Well, I'll tell you, I worked with selling advertising and events. I sold some advertising to this company called Permian's Capital.
Yeah.
They were owned by, I want to say Bear Stearns, maybe. Mm-hmm. They were owned by somebody big. No, it was Morgan Stanley. So they Liberty University reached out to them years ago and said, hey, we are getting too much money. How do we stay nonprofit? So Permian's Capital created all these like funds and things like that. It was Morgan Stanley said, okay, well, we'll have some guys work on this and create some funds and get your money off of you to where it can be, you know what I mean? You won't get taxed on it. So they developed all this stuff, and it ended up being their own company. Permian's Capital only exists because of Liberty's money. They had to create a new company for them.
To
run and shuttle all this money around. Yeah, and that's what they do. You know,
that's what I mean. Yeah. So it was saying in this article, it's saying 2018, Liberty University's assets topped at like $2.8 billion. Now, that's not as big as Apple, but I'd say within the religious universities, that's about as Apple as it comes. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I'll tell you what. It was probably 2018. No, it was 2017. I was there on campus doing an event. And I always joke that I was a student there, and I went to their campus that was in Grimsley, Tennessee. Only one student went to it, but I went to it. But I would always joke when I was there. And so I went and had an ID made because I was working there with Liberty people. And so I went and had a student ID made while I was a student. So I had the student ID, and I always brought it back to me when I did events there, saying, "Oh, I'm a student," you know. And so they're like, "Oh, we should get you on one of the library tours. Wouldn't you want to see that?" I was like, "No, I mean, you want me to tour a library? That's really like what you think I want to do?" And they're like, "Oh no, it's great. The robots go and get books for you." Okay, so this is the technology, because they've got so much money. This is the technology they invested in.
Yeah.
A library, you go and punch buttons on it, and then a robot goes and gets your book and brings it to you.
Yeah.
Like they've never learned about Kindle. Like, for crying out loud, why you don't know? This is like a technology that's not even used. Why would you even use this?
You might as well. We got too much money.
We got so much money. Put the robots out there.
We got to burn. Like, we paid some, foreign exchange students to bury money in the backyard. Like, that's what they do. Too much of it. Yeah. I mean, like,
it's their VOTEC classes are out there just burying money in the backyard.
Well, we know the pool boy is busy, so I mean.
Yeah. Yes. Liberty University. They I do not run to their defense. I never have run to their defense.
So. It's just crazy. Like, it's just so crazy. This like.
What was it? Bill Maher said about Liberty University. It was probably in 2014 or 15. He says at Liberty University, he was pleading with them to stop printing diplomas that look like a real university's diploma, because it's lowering the value of his.
Oh no.
He did like 2 episodes just hating Liberty University.
He's a big anti.
He's anti. Yeah, but he hates them all equally.
A lot. Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't matter, you know.
Reuters was asking Falwell about some stuff, and he was saying, "Oh, I've never done anything wrong there. I can't wait for them to dig through, and it's going to prove how crooked the mainstream media fake news is, using Trump's language." And then they asked him about his son's involvement, and he was, what did he say? "Oh, you got nothing." I'm trying to find the exact quote, because it was just so like thuggish, so anti, gentleness. You do not want to mess with me, okay? It's like, do you know who I am, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I remember, when the centurions came to grab Jesus, and he was like, "Do you know who I am? You don't want to mess with me," like.
I'm pretty sure he rebuked Peter for that attitude.
So. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. It's crazy. There's a lot to say about it. When you brought it up, I almost didn't even, I'm still spinning from it. It's crazy how deep this goes. And I think once this autopsy, I don't know if they'll publish it. I don't know if the guys who were, part of me thinks that they're going to publish it, or at least leak it a little bit to show like how corrupt he was and put it all on him to try to save the brand of Liberty University.
Yeah, they might.
But another side is like, let's just keep a lot of this, maybe they'll leak a little bit of it just to satisfy the hungry dogs. But I don't know.
Just, I mean, but that's just the thing. When you get an organization that gets that big, you know what I mean?
You just get greedy, and it grows bigger than you, and it grows bigger than the message that I think that it, I mean, his dad was a pretty hateful guy too.
Yeah, you say that. I think it's different. I think he had definite opinions about the morality that he gleaned from Scripture, and I think Jerry Falwell Sr. I think he championed those beliefs.
Yeah,
I don't think it is. I think
his son profited off of it,
but I think Jerry Falwell Sr. I think he championed them because of integrity. He truly believed them and championed them.
He was rolling off the Goldwater era, it was
Jerry
very much
Jr. didn't champion anything out of integrity.
No,
he didn't. He championed what made him money.
He was a rich kid and got ahead. Yeah, exactly. I think you're exactly right.
And so I don't like the comparison between those two as the same. And I don't think you were doing that. But like,
no. I'm just saying like it wasn't rooted in like gentleness from the beginning. So you know what I mean? Like it was hate, and then it was that old Roman imperialist spirit of conquering the market.
Well, it was always the goal of Jerry Falwell Jr. to be the evangelical version of Notre Dame. That's who he wanted to be.
Yeah.
He always said it. You know what I mean? And that's why they would play Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They would pay Notre Dame lots and lots of money to play them. Mm-hmm. So that someday they could beat them. I mean, that was the idea. And they ended up beating them. It was like a JV girls volleyball team. beat the JV girls volleyball team at Notre Dame, and or something crazy, like it was something dumb like that. And they're like, look, we've arrived. So I was like, I don't think that's
I don't know.
I don't think that's what you meant. I think you meant football, but we can we can
did
it.
We finally got on top of the hill that we've been fighting for this whole time. Wait, I thought it. Never mind. Okay,
Liberty University, man. I'll tell you, I'm really, though, my experience like doing classes online, their online interaction was amazing. Like, if anybody wants a good, like a solid education and a platform to do it, like I was traveling full time on tours and stuff, and it worked so great.
I'm sure they pay very smart people, and it sucks because there are a lot of people that work there, I'm sure, that are very genuine people that believe in some of this stuff, and what is that future going to look like? And it's because you had a guy who was above reproach. You have a company that's above reproach.
I'll tell you what,
I think these two things are very, too much power gone unchecked too long. It just creates this stuff. It just festers,
I've got a good friend that he has always been kind of a Liberty and Jerry Falwell Jr. apologist. You know what I mean? Like always has been. And right now it's hard to be.
I bet.
And I've even seen it in his posts, like it's more like it's pivoting to guys, let's show grace.
Yeah, and that's how it always is.
I'm like, that's because it's true. And
exactly.
You can't say no.
Well, that's my problem with it. Like, I'm absolutely for showing grace, but this is just the justice that's going to eventually come to everybody. But it's like, where was the grace for the leftist mobs that he was screaming about, 2 months ago, or the baby killers, or the Muslims, or the, you know what I mean? Like, you don't get to play that card after being so, like, representing the guy who actually championed that stuff, the heart of Christianity, and misrepresenting it so bad, being a voice for hate. Like, you don't then get to turn around and say, well, what about me? Like, that's just, he's just going to try to come back. Let's forgive him and forget, and then let him do the same thing again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, people can't see this because we're doing an audio only, but Liberty University. That's my
paperweight.
It's my coaster. Yeah, it's a little coaster paperweight thing. I keep my mug on it here.
Oh man. Oh well. Well, I mean,
once a flame, always a flame.
I just went to tech, so I don't have to worry about this hypocrisy stuff. Yeah. Are they? I
don't know. We'll talk.
Well, they're not
education.
a for-profit. Yeah,
we're 10 years from public education being corrupt. Come on. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that's gonna come out. Ripping off American people with government grants. That
we'll talk about Betsy DeVos later. The sham of that.
Well, hey, Curtis, this has been a good talk. I think we're wrapping up. We have we've crapped all over Apple. We've crapped all over Liberty University. This is really an attack on my life today, in my history.
Me as the liberal arts window user, I've just got to sit back and just
laugh and shake your head. Yes. Oh gosh. Yeah. I guess what are we going to attack next? I guess we'll have to attack. I don't know. Can we attack Switchfoot? Don't you you're a Switchfoot? No, specifically. What's his name? John
Foreman.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to specifically dig up dirt on John Foreman.
I have proof of him kissing babies on the face and hugging them carefully and as a father would.
Yeah.
And saying hello, beautiful.
And I've put eerie music behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
As you can see.
Yeah, we had Switchfoot tickets to see him here in Nashville 5 years ago, and it was like 2 weeks after Ellie was born, and we took her. We had some noise canceling headphones, and my sister-in-law at the time worked for some big publishing studio out in Nashville and had some ends, and she's like, "You want to go meet the band?" I was like, yeah, that's funny. Yeah. And she was like, no, for real, we can go back there. He said he'd let us back. I was like, oh my God. So I go back there with Ellie, and he was just like, can I hold your baby? Like, what are you doing here with a baby this small? I was like, I don't know, man. Like,
we had the tickets.
We had the tickets, and why not? And he was like, I guess so. Cool. And he's like, can I hold her? He was really, really sweet. And I've been listening to him since I was 8. So it was like all culminating, like, what a great guy. You know what I mean?
Hey, send me that video and pictures and I'll put
yeah.
music behind it.
I'm sure you'll be very
pause it at certain points and do like extreme
it.
zoom ins and stuff.
No, let's not joke about that. Jeez.
All right, man. Well, let's say goodbye. Thank you guys so much for joining with us. You can always jump over to our Discord. We don't have a whole lot of people over there yet, to be honest, but we would love to engage in some conversation there. It's been fun with the people that are there. So
yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys next week.
See you, Curtis.
See you.
Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed the discussion here, and if you did, go ahead and click that like button. That helps us out. Also, if you're not a subscriber, you should be. If you subscribe and hit the bell, then you get a notification every time we post new content. That way you can stay up on all the discussions we're having. If this conversation resonated with you, maybe share it with a friend over on social media. And also, we've got some other videos, so feel free to check those out and join in anywhere.